Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we would like to introduce you to a very powerful topic. Today we'll talk about communication. As we all know, communication is a tool that helps us build relationships by allowing us to share our experiences and needs. Indeed, it helps us to connect to others. Communication is the essence of life, allowing us to express feelings, pass on information, and share thoughts. We all need to communicate. Today, the main topics will be general communication, nonviolent communication, how to communicate with different people, and what are feedbacks. Before diving into the whole presentation, I would like to give you a basic insight about the notion of communication. Basically, it is about sharing information from one person to another person or a group of people. It has three parts: at least one sender, one message, and one recipient. It is complex, as effective communication can be affected by emotions, the cultural situation, the medium used to communicate, and also our location. This is why good communication skills are considered to be so desirable by employers around the world, as accurate, effective, adaptable, and unambiguous communication skills are hard to find. Generally, we have many types of communication, but the most important ones are four. Verbal communication, so the way we speak out loud and communicate our message. The nonverbal communication, how our body language or inflection influences our message. For example, body posture, eye contact, facial expression, touch, or movements. In nonverbal communication, we also have paralanguage, which is the style of speaking, tone, the pitch, and the voice quality. The third one is visual communication, using images to communicate our message visually and clearly. And the last one is written communication, leveraging the written word to make our point in the text. To be effective while communicating verbally, we should focus on pitch, tone, pauses, speed, structure, flow and logic, and word choice. Great verbal communicators do more than get the message across. They inspire others and they communicate with clarity. Here are a few tips to improve your verbal communication. First of all, use a strong and confident voice. Have a structure and adjust the way you speak based on people's nonverbal responses. Moreover, speak slowly, ask clarifying questions, and consider the context. Furthermore, we can also provide you some tips about what not to do to improve your effective communication. First of all, don't assume that people have understood what you said just because they nod their heads. And also, don't worry, making mistakes when you speak is normal and natural. Finally, don't stress out about using filler words like or when you need to think. Pause instead. As for verbal communication, nonverbal communication includes tone and pitch, posture and body language, eye contact, facial expressions, hand gestures, and even physical distance, so proxemics. Nonverbal communication reinforces the words, provides feedback to others, and defines relationships more clearly. For example, people who trust and empathize with each other are likely to mirror body language. Some studies suggest that between 70 and 80% of communication is nonverbal. Use these tips to improve nonverbal communication skills. For example, vary your voice, smile when speaking and listening, make eye contact, wait for people to finish to reply, and ask follow up questions. Um, Moreover, we can provide you with don'ts. Don't look away when someone is talking. Don't move around fidgety if you can. And don't make rude grimaces, for example, rolling eyes or raising eyebrows. Another type of communication is nonviolent communication that was developed by Marshall Rosenberg in the 1970s. It is based on principles of nonviolence and aims to improve communication and increase empathy. The term nonviolent echoes Gandhi's philosophy of interacting with another person without harming them. It includes four components or principles. The first one is observation. You can observe the situation objectively without judging, evaluating, or interpreting it. For example, one of your employees is always late at work. And second one is feelings. You can acknowledge and express how you feel about the situation, both positively and negatively. For example, if your employee is always late at work, you can feel upset or angry. The third one is needs. What is that you need in order to overcome those feelings? For example, you are angry because you feel you are not respected by this action. And the last one is requests. You can express your needs to the person clearly and calmly. Avoid to make demands as the other person might shut down. Also, to help boost your self expression better, I advise you to focus on active listening and assertiveness while communicating. Basically, it is a good habit to understand the speaker's words, emotions, and needs, to encourage empathetic listening without interruption or judgment, and also to identify the speaker's feelings and needs in a compassionate way. Concerning assertiveness, try to express feelings, needs, and opinions clearly and respectfully, and balance self expression with respect for others' needs. Moreover, focus on stating feelings and making requests directly without aggression. We always have to keep in our mind that not every person is the same, and someone might not communicate the way we do. One example that can help us to understand this concept is the communication style model. This model is often used in leadership and team dynamics to better understand how the individuals approach communication and problem solving based on their tendencies. It shows us four communication models based on planner, thinker, connector, and mover. The first one is planners. They are detail oriented, organized, and focused on structure. They prefer clear, well thought out plans and value consistency. In communication, they are thorough and methodical, often preparing in advance to ensure precision. Their strengths are planning, follow through, and reliability, but they may struggle with spontaneous change or decisions. The second one is thinker. They are analytical and logic driven. They prefer to gather data and think through all the possible outcomes before making decisions. And their communication style is often intellectual, favoring facts and logic, and careful deliberation. Their strengths are critical thinking, problem solving, and objectivity, but they can be overly cautious or slow to act due to overanalyzing. The connectors are people oriented and value relationships. They excel at bringing people together, facilitating collaboration, and are empathetic listeners. In communication, they prioritize harmony and seek to understand others' feeling and perspective. Their strengths are building relationships, empathy, communication, but they may avoid conflict or struggle with making tough decisions. The last one is movers. They are action oriented and thrive on getting things done. They are decisive, quick to act, and often take charge in situations. Their communication is direct and focused on achieving results. So their strengths are leadership, decisiveness, and goal orientation, but they may overlook details or rush into decisions without considering all options. Knowing what type of communication suits you best and or your coworkers and employees can help to work more effectively and use the strengths of each person. In this slide, we provide you with a quiz that you can try out to discover what type of communicator you are. Um, but furthermore, feedback is the response, reaction, or information given by the recipient of a message to the sender. It is the process of letting someone know which areas they need to improve. Feedback is essential to effective communication because it helps the sender check that their message has been understood and received as intended, and modify their communication strategy as needed. Feedback is also crucial in a two-way communication to ensure both sides are on the same page and can prevent misunderstandings or confusion. It also strengthens the bonds of trust and rapport between the sender and the recipient. You can give feedback on communication orally or non-verbally, in writing, through written remarks, facial expression, or body language. Moreover, feedback is a very important tool while communicating as it can be both a way to avoid misunderstandings and also build a strong bond of trust between coworkers and employees. When constructive feedback is being given and not in a rude or mean way, then the person receiving the feedback can improve or realize something that they had not. What people can do is support each other by highlighting areas of weaknesses, again in a nice way, in order for them to learn how to not do it in the future. Furthermore, receiving feedback is also another important aspect of communication, as this is how the recipient lets the sender know that they have received and understood the information. Recipients of the message have the opportunity to provide feedback as to how they understood the message, and this can be done through both verbal and nonverbal reactions. Experienced communicators will pay close attention to the feedback they receive in order to ensure that the message has been received as intended, and this can allow for further explanation and clarity if needed. You can now look at the text and maybe you can provide us with some observation. As you can see here, some question to self-reflect on the previous task. Um, there are several types of feedback in communication, each serving a specific purpose in the communication process. Here are some of the most common types of feedback. The first one is formal feedback. Many companies adopt this type of feedback for evaluating productivity in a given time. Its structure is simple and objective, giving both the managers and employees a chance to talk about what they can improve in their work and communication strategy. Evaluative feedback is a way to describe an individual's behavior and has beneficial results only when it's positive. This type of feedback is not always recommended because it can often be perceived as too personal. The third one is prescriptive feedback. It's a form of advice in which the recipient tells the center how to correct their way of working. Although this type of feedback can be helpful in the early stages, such as training or onboarding, it can also be a way to avoid giving constructive feedback on the individual's work. The last one is descriptive feedback. As the name implies, this type of feedback is used to describe the effects of an individual's action, which leads to the presentation of a relevant opinion. Descriptive feedback is considered the best form of evaluation in the workplace and other fields, such as education and science. To be motivated, especially when working for someone else, team members need to feel appreciated and even when improvements need to be made. A proven way to provide good feedback is by combining the necessary recommendations with the quality of their work to conclude positively and about the evaluated person. Moreover, a tool like feedback can help people evaluate themselves and their work and also how others perceive them. While employees and students need to receive feedback, it is also essential for leaders who believe in growth to ask for an evaluation, give an example, and be an inspiration for them. Most team members appreciate honest evaluation. Approximately 70 of employees say that they would work harder if their managers better appreciated their efforts. Professional feedback will increase communication effects whether you are a manager, a team member, a student, or a colleague. Therefore, in the feedback culture, evaluation should be used permanently, both professionally and personally. Here are some of the reasons why feedback is essential in communication. The first one is that people need to know that their message has been received and comprehended as intended. Without feedback, it's possible that the sender won't be aware that their communication has been misunderstood, which might cause confusion and blunders. Moreover, feedback helps increase communication by informing the sender of what went well and what didn't. It also improves efficiency. Feedback is not advice or criticism. Sometimes it can be interpreted as negative if it's not formulated properly. So it's crucial to explain the importance of feedback in the communication process to the team members so they can always be open to receiving it positively. If consistent, descriptive feedback can help individuals work on their mistakes and find ways to be more efficient and productive. And feedbacks delivered positively and encouragingly can aid in developing trust between the sender and the recipient. Over time, this may result in closer ties and improved communication. Furthermore, negative feedback can be used to identify areas for improvement. However, when given constructively and with the intention of helping the recipient learn and grow, this can lead to considerable changes in the caliber of communication. Finally, feedback is essential in the workplace because it motivates and it engages people. So we've reached the end of our presentation. Thank you all for watching, and we will be very happy to get some feedback from you to be able to improve our work too. Here you can find a QR code that's going to take you directly to the feedback form. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. And very important, leave a feedback for us below. I'd love to hear from you. See you next time. Bye.